People speak about spirits in their lives, but we do not know whether there are spirits or not. What is the world of spirits, and if you are in that world suddenly, what will you do? Stay tuned to know what happens next. Introducing the anime Spirited Away. The movie starts with a family of three, a father, a mother, and a daughter. They are on the move in their car to their new home in a new city. The daughter is very upset at the thought of shifting cities as she holds a bouquet with a note written as, "Farewell to Chihiro." After a while, Chihiro's father slows down the vehicle. He notices an off-road avenue. He takes the avenue, confident with his car's four-wheel drive, and of course, they end up in a tunnel. Chihiro is uneasy and informs her parents that they should head back, but her parents are curious about exploring. Reluctantly, she remains behind her parents, entering the tunnel while holding her mother's hand. In the tunnel, her father explains to her that this is a deserted amusement park, and they venture further into the facility. They encounter a humongous market, where Chihiro's parents begin noticing the smell of food. He believes that the place still exists, since they enter by scent to a food stall with freshly prepared good food. They call for the owner, but when he fails to show up, they begin eating, claiming that when the owner shows up, they will pay him. They ask Chihiro to join them to eat, but she fails to show up since she still doesn't feel comfortable about the place. She leaves her parents so that she can investigate. There, she finds a bathhouse where there are black fumes from a chimney. On the other side of the bridge, she leans against it as a train passes by. It is then that a boy shows up. He grabs Chihiro and instructs her to escape because it is nearly sunset and not safe to be near. She escapes to where her mother and father were, but when she arrives, she spots two pigs in place of where her mother and father were. Shaking with fear, she escapes, crying for her mother and father. As she escapes, the sun sets, and dark things begin appearing. She continues escaping and arrives at a river where there used to be a field. In shock about everything that's happening, she hits herself, thinking this is a dream and she'd wake up. She curls into a ball, muttering the words, "This is all a dream." That's when we notice her body gradually becoming transparent. When she looks at her hands, she can see right through them. With disgusting fear, she sits up in a ball. That's when the boy from before comes. He holds her and gives her something to eat. She resists, but the boy comforts her, saying she won't become a pig, but will vanish if she doesn't eat it. She is nearly transparent, but when she eats, she becomes normal. Then they run to hide Chihiro from shadows that turn into various forms of creatures. These are the spirits. The boy casts a spell on Chihiro so that the spirits cannot see her. He also commands her to remain silent while crossing the bridge, otherwise the spell will be broken. That is when a frog suddenly appears in front of the boy, calling him Master Haku, which scares Chihiro, and she exhales. The spirits are surprised as they sense a human. The frog detects her instantly and utters, "Human." The boy casts a spell on the frog, and they begin running while the spirits keep searching for the human. The boy commands Chihiro to proceed to Kamaji and commands him to employ her because if he doesn't, she will be transformed into an animal by Yubaba, the sorceress who governs this country. He guides her the way by placing his hand on her forehead. He then informs her that his name is Haku and that he is with Chihiro. Chihiro asks him how he knows her name. He replies that he had known her since childhood and that she must leave now because she begins her journey. She sees a long wooden staircase leading to Kamaji's house. The staircase has no railing or supports whatsoever. She makes her slow descent on the first steps, all scared. That's when she puts her foot on a broken step. She runs directly down into the wall, fortunately not falling off. At last, she comes to a place. It's a boiler room, a little spooky. Little creatures are carrying chunks of coal into the fire. Kamaji is a six-armed specter who is grinding up various herbs. When Chihiro offers her labor, he commands her away as he has no job for her, but she just stands there. That's when a little creature gets crushed by the coal. She grabs that coal and throws it into the fire. The other creatures, noticing how she assisted the other one, also pretend as though they are being crushed, derailing the work. A woman named Lin shows up. Lin is aware that she is a human. Kamaji informs Lin that she is her granddaughter and would be glad if she took Chihiro to Yubaba because he has no job for her here. Lin takes Chihiro after being bribed by Kamaji. Along the way, we discover the place is a bathhouse where spirits are unwinding. Lin conceals her as she takes her to an elevator where the frog from before shows up. To Lin, he states that she reeks of humans, but Lin diverts him and gets Chihiro onto an elevator to Yubaba. At Yubaba's door, when she attempts to open the doorknob reminds her that she has to knock first before opening by herself. She gets sucked into the room. There is an older lady with a large head. She is Yubaba. Chihiro requests that she give her work, but Yubaba covers her mouth. She informs her that this environment is not human-created, and that she could instead turn her into a piglet like her parents, or into a ball of coal. She opens her mouth, which she had unzipped, so that she asks who assisted her to reach where. The first thing out of her mouth is to give her work. Yubaba gets angry. That's when a giant baby's foot kicks in through the door and destroys everything. Yubaba runs to the other room. After Chihiro's insistence, Yubaba hands her a paper and instructs her to sign it. Yubaba also selects a name from the paper, and she absorbs some portion of her name and names her as Senin. That's when Haku shows up. Yubaba instructs him to take Chihiro to work. Chihiro introduces herself as Sen as she greets the workers at the elevator. She calls him Haku, but he behaves as if he doesn't know her and instructs her to call him Master Haku. Chihiro was left in Lin's custody. When Chihiro asks Lin something about Haku, she informs Chihiro that Haku is Yubaba's henchman, and she shouldn't get close to him. As it happens, today they all sleep. Yubaba covers herself up with a cloak and transforms into a bird-like body and escapes. That's when Haku approaches Chihiro and instructs her to go to the bridge. She finds herself at the bridge to behold a black shadow with a mask. It vanishes after some time. Haku shows up and brings her to her parents, who turned into swine and can't even remember being human. Haku informs Chihiro she isn't Sen, she is Chihiro, and Yubaba manipulates people by stealing their names, much the same as she manipulates him, and he can't even remember his name. He presents her with some food. As she eats, she starts weeping. When Chihiro heads for work, she spies a dragon within the sky. She has trouble conducting the work within the workplace and encounters the very same shadow spirit sporting a mask again. It remains in wait out there in the rain. She gives him admittance as she exits. Thereafter, Lin and Chihiro are tasked with scrubbing the big tub for the filthiest spirits, despite being work for the frogs. While they scrub the tub, they require a token to fill it with herbal water, which the receptionist refuses to give, reminding her to scrub it with her hands. That's when the shadow spirit comes and does it for her as the receptionist is on a call. She appreciates him. When she leaves later to appease Chihiro, the shadow spirit brings a handful of the tokens, but Chihiro tells him she doesn't require them. This irks the spirit as he drops everything and leaves. That's when a funky sludge-like spirit comes in, making everyone run away because of its smell. Chihiro gets assigned to handle the spirit. She takes him to the bathtub she had set up, but because he was so dirty, he turns the water around and into sludge too. Chihiro uses the tokens the shadow spirit lost, but she ends up falling into the bathtub while turning the water running onto him. When the spirit lifts her up, she feels something coming out of him. Yubaba shows up. They use a rope to tie the thing to pull it out. A great deal of trash comes out of him, revealing the spirit of a huge river. As an act of gratitude, the spirit presents a green ball of herbs to Chihiro. Everyone is thrilled, and Yubaba expresses gratitude towards Chihiro for working well. In the following scene, we see the shadow creature. He sits inside a tub. The little frog comes near and informs him that the bathhouse is closed. That's when he brings out gold from his palm and the frog jumps towards him greedily. That's when he swallows the frog and can speak using the voice of the frog. He tells another employee, awakening all the people after he throws some gold at him. Chihiro awakens to the reality that she is alone with no one. Lin comes. She informs her that a spirit is distributing gold and that she should go join them and work. She does not accompany Lin. To the balcony, she notices the same dragon whom she had met, Haku. Paper birds fill the air, and she saves him, then realizes that it is Haku. He is coughing up blood, but he is nowhere. Directed to Yubaba, a paper bird attaches itself to Chihiro. She runs so that she can reach Yubaba, but the path is blocked as the shadow spirit is given food. He tries to give her gold, but she rejects him and departs. He is angry and ends up devouring 2 workers. Chihiro goes to Yubaba's house because they are going to kill Haku. The paper bird transforms into Yubaba's twin sister. She transforms Yubaba's baby into a mouse, another creature into a tiny bird, and 3 heads into Yubaba's baby. She informs Chihiro that Haku is a thief and needs to be punished. Chihiro defends Haku by saying it's not his fault. That's when Haku lashes the paper bird and Yubaba's sister disappears. Then they drop into a vent, which directly opens into Kamaji's house. The bird and mouse also pursue Kamaji's house. He informs Chihiro that Haku is under a curse. To heal him, she gives him half of the herb ball that she was given by the spirit of the river, so that he vomits out the seal that he had stolen, along with a worm-like thing which was the curse, which she grinds into powder. Haku reverts back to his human form. Kamaji informs Chihiro that Haku wished to study magic, so he became the apprentice of Yubaba. Chihiro makes up her mind to go visit Yubaba's twin sister Zeniba. She will come back, Zeniba's seal, and will apologize for Haku. Kamaji hands her 4 train tickets before he leaves. She is summoned to the workers to resolve the issue of the shadow spirit who keeps on devouring. She feeds half of the herb ball she had set aside for her parents to the shadow spirit, which causes him to vomit everything and everybody out. He pursues her. She makes it to the train station with the assistance of Lin. The spirit, whose name is No Face, also pursues her. She takes the mouse, the bird, and No Face with her to Zeniba's house. In the meantime, Yubaba realizes that her baby is gone when the 3 heads resume their normal form. She instructs Haku to fetch his baby. He vows to fetch him, but only if she returns Chihiro and her parents to their world. Chihiro gives the seal back to Zeniba and apologizes to Haku. She asks if she can return to her world, to which she responds that she must do this herself. That's when there is a doorbell. Haku remains in dragon form. No Face remains behind with Zeniba, while the bird and mouse depart with Haku and Chihiro, heading back to their world. Chihiro recollects that she had tumbled into a river named Kohaku, and had been rescued by him, and his name is Kohaku. Hearing this, he turns human and remembers his name. He thanks Chihiro for reminding him about his name. As both of them head back to Yubaba, Haku takes the baby from Yubaba back as he changes from being a mouse into his true form. Haku then instructs Yubaba to take Chihiro and her parents back to their world, but she doesn't listen to him. The baby informs Yubaba that if she makes Chihiro cry, he will dislike her. So Yubaba listens to him. She tells that Chihiro will be interrogated to answer 1 question, and then she can leave. Before her, she loads heaps of pigs and questions her about whom her parents are. She stares at them for a long time and says, "Nobody." That is when all of them change back to worker form, she had replied correctly. The contract is reduced to dust, and Haku sends orders to her parents because already they are outside. He sends orders to her and now turns around. She queries if they would meet. He orders her that he would close his apprenticeship and come to the world, and they will meet for sure, because as she follows the river, it has vanished. She encounters her parents, who are unaware of what has occurred. They inquire where she was, and they all exit, and the movie concludes here. This tale was turbulent and full of surprises at every turn, a tale of what the world of spirits would be like. It was written in detail. Great! What did you think of this anime? Let us know in the comments.